Hey guys, today we have Tamila Urazayeva. She is a certified holistic health coach in integrative nutrition. And today she's going to talk to us a little bit about her work and a lot about nutrition.
That's
Welcome.
right. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So you studied in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York City, and I believe it's the largest school of nutrition here in America. Can you tell us a little bit about the training that you received there?
Right. Yes, I did get my certification from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And what differentiates this school, in my opinion, is that they invite all these prominent speakers from the field of wellness and nutrition to teach the students. And I had the pleasure and privilege to learn from people like Deepak Chopra, Dr. Andrew Weil, Dr. Mehmet Oz, Ariana Huffington, Dr. Mark Hyman, and such. And it was such an uplifting experience and very empowering experience as well.
Yeah. What exactly is integrative nutrition?
I always tell my clients, you can eat the entire kale and spinach in the world, but it's not necessarily going to make you happy and healthy. If you're not sleeping enough, if your physical activity is down to zero, if you're in a poor relationship, or you really hate your job. So things like that, they also affect our well-being and health. And you cannot consider just nutrition, and you cannot take nutrition alone from the entire picture. And I'll give you a simple example. If you're not moving much during the day, if you're not exercising, it most likely will affect your sleep, right? And we do produce most of our hormones in our sleep. So in the morning or the next day, your hormones are going to be in balance. And speaking of nutrition, your hormones, your appetite hormones, ghrelin and leptin, are going to be affected as well. They're going to be imbalanced, and you will crave junk food, you will crave sugars. And it's not only because of the willpower. And yes, your willpower is going to be affected if you don't get enough sleep. But it's also the hormonal imbalance that sort of triggers you to make poor nutritional decisions during the day.
Yeah.
And it all very, very connected. So you cannot consider just nutrition without your sleep, for example, or your stress management. They're all very related, and that's what it's called. That's what we call integrative nutrition, things that nourish your life apart from the food that actually comes on your plate.
Health coach are kind of becoming a trend now too in the world of integrative medicine and wellness. Why do you think it's important to have a health coach working alongside medical doctors?
Doctors come with this very scientific and evidence-based approach, and they have all this wonderful modern tests to diagnose the issue. And they can tell you what you need to do, and simple things like introducing more fruits and vegetables in your diet, or getting more water, managing your stress better, getting better sleep. But very often I find myself, what I do the most, I focus on how you can introduce all those things into your lifestyle, or how you can start drinking more water without waking up puffy and swollen in the morning, for example. And another point is not that many doctors know about nutrition. And you don't find yourself talking to your doctor about nutrition that much. I'm fortunate enough to work with an integrative doctor who uses nutrition and whole foods and whole food supplements as medicine, but not many of them do that.
Yeah, you need some type of counseling or encouragement or someone to check in with you to make sure that they're, the treatment plan that they have with their doctor are implemented on a regular basis. In integrative nutrition school, you learn a lot about major dietary theories. An important one is the idea of bioindividuality. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Right. We're all very different, and there is no one particular food or diet that would work equally well for everybody. It's all about bioindividuality. One person's food is another person's poison. Foods and diets that work for me, not necessarily going to work for you, and so on and so forth. And I do like to compare food with fashion, or nutrition style with your fashion style. It's very different for different people. It's very different for men and women. It's different from children to adults. And it's constantly changing. It's very different from season to season.
The integrative of nutrition, I read that like some of their core principles is about this crowding out or fitting out. in crowding out, which I really like this concept, the idea that there's a lot of diets out there that tend to focus on avoiding certain foods or eliminating certain things out of our diet. And it tends to create this cycle of shame or guilt, and a sense of deprivation, right? But with Integrative of Nutrition, they focus on the idea of adding more good things in your diet rather than removing things. And in that way, you create a natural cycle of abundance, or a cycle of good things, like you're more likely to explore food because you're not thinking about what you shouldn't eat. And fitting out is another concept that I think is really important to value, which is the idea of being authentic to yourself, which you mentioned.
Bioindividuality.
Yeah, you don't have to follow the certain diet and regimen.
And what I find actually that all these drastic changes and all the extreme diets, they do work. They do work in the beginning, but then they fail, because it actually takes those small steps that create habits, new habits to our lifestyle, new habits to a healthier diet that work much better and much more effectively in the long term. And that's why I always focus on small changes, things like adding just a cup of water a day.
Drinking water seems like such a chore, and everybody knows that it's very important to stay hydrated. What are some easy, simple steps to get people to just start drinking water and incorporating it in their, daily life?
Right, well, I can give you a whole lecture on that, but I will try to keep it to the most important tips. And I would say when it comes to drinking water, tip number one is to start your morning with drinking a glass of water. When you sleep, you go through many detoxification processes. Your body does go through many detoxification processes, and your body is the most acidic in the morning. That's why when you drink a glass of water, it helps to flush out all the toxins from your body. And it's very important to do so. So 1 glass of water prior to everything or anything else in the morning. Another one would be do not drink water with your meal. You have your gastric juices, you don't want to dilute them. And if you actually need to drink water with your meal, then you should probably address chewing. You're not chewing enough, so you need to chew more. You need to focus on chewing food better. And if you absolutely have to have a sip or two, then you're much better off drinking some warmer beverage, warmer or room temperature beverage. And that comes to your next tip. Avoid drinking ice cold water. We do have our internal fire, so you don't really want to put cold drink on a fire, icy cold drink on a fire. Another question that I get a lot is how much water do we need to consume? And it's very individual. It depends on the climate, on your physical activity, on other factors. But usually there is a really good formula that you can use is when you take your weight in pounds, you divide it by 2, and that's how many ounces of water you get. You need to drink during the day. And the last tip, but not least, is the quality of your water. I would say your home filtered water, your refrigerator filtered water is much better if you store it in a glass container or stainless steel container than water from a plastic bottle. So avoid drinking water from plastic bottles.
Yeah, and plastic bottles tend to leach out certain chemicals, or what we call endocrine disruptors, that dysregulate your hormones and can throw off the natural system of your body. Speaking of toxins, as a nutritionist, can you tell us more a little bit about organic versus conventional food?
Yes, absolutely. And ideally we want to eat 100% organic. But I obviously realize that it's not always practical. Organic is not available everywhere, and it's not always economical. It can get rather pricey. And that's why there is a Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen lists. And Clean 15 is the list of fruits and vegetables that you can buy in the conventional form, non-organic form. And the Dirty Dozen is the list of 12 dirtiest fruits and vegetables that attract critters, and they're being sprayed more heavily with pesticides and chemicals. So those are the fruits and vegetables that you want to buy in the organic as much as possible. But it's also common sense. If you look at the fruit and vegetable that has a thick protective skin that you usually remove when you eat that, and for example, avocados, bananas, pineapples, watermelons, cantaloupes, those fruits and vegetables can be bought and consumed in the conventional form. But berries, stone fruits, peaches and nectarines, leafy greens, they act like sponges. And they absorb most of the chemicals. That's why you want to buy them always in the organic form.
You guys also offer a shop along with the doctor, a very informative grocery tour to help like her patients, your clients, adapt to more healthy habits in grocery shopping.
Right. Yes, we do offer those grocery shopping tours, and that's when we walk through the entire grocery store and we show our patients and clients what to buy and what to stay away from. We also share the tips on how to buy healthy foods without breaking the bank. And we also teach our clients on how to read the labels and what ingredients to avoid when buying
certain products,
packaged food. Yes.
Yeah, I attended one of them and I thought it was very helpful. Can you share with us one or two tips from the tour?
One tip that I usually give my clients is to buy grass-fed butter. And usually when you look at the butter, if it's deep yellow color, this is the one that's grass-fed. If it's white color, then it's probably the conventional butter that you want to stay away from. And the reason for grass-fed butter is ideally your diet should provide you with as many anti-inflammatory foods as possible. And speaking of inflammation, it's such a hot topic nowadays, and I'll just put my 2 cents in it, I guess. We are what we eat, and especially we are what our food eats. Cow's digestive system was not designed to digest grains. They're designed to eat grass. And when they eat grains, they get all sorts of digestive issues. They get inflammation inside their body. And respectively, the milk that they produce will be also containing inflammatory agents. That's why you want to stick with grass-fed butter, grass-fed milk, and dairy, because it will have less inflammatory agents. It will have more anti-inflammatory compounds.
Another tip that I learned from the grocery tour is choosing eggs that are pasture raised. There's a lot of labels out there and people can get confused with the words free range or cage free, but those labels can literally be plastered on those eggs and just mean that they were out there for like 5 minutes. So you want to pick the one that's like pasture raised.
Correct. Pasture raised and organic eggs.
Yeah. So diet and nutrition is an important aspect of self-care, but people need to look at it more as an integrative approach too, not just specifically nutrition, but also how exercise, sleep, and the relationships that you have can affect, the way that you eat and the way you nourish yourself.
Well, yes, there are other forms of nourishment apart from just food that comes on your plate.
Thank you guys for listening, and thank you, Tamila, for teaching us a thing or two about nutrition. If you guys have any thoughts or comments about this episode, just send us a message. And if you want to know more about Tamila's grocery tour, we'll link it down below. See you guys.
My missed appointment is don't take it hard on yourself. I always tend to say that my family is my first priority, but just like on airplane, when they go through the safety procedures, they tell you to put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then you can help others. That same goes in my life, so I have to remind myself that first I actually need to worry about myself, and then I would be able to take a much better care of others.